Okay then guys, so welcome back. Now on this show we are all about the underground. We've got new bands, fresh voices and the places where future headliners get their start. Today we're shining a light on one of those places of origin, and I'm joined today all the way from the States by Siobhan Beckett from Lutherville Rock School, a place where musicians don't just learn the scales and covers, they form bands, they write originals and they take their first real steps into the world of live music. So Siobhan, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, for anyone hearing about Lutherville Rock School for the first time, how would you describe what you do in one sentence to someone who dreams of starting a band?
Ooh, one sentence. That's a challenge. I would say that it's a place where rock stars are made.
In a nutshell, I love it. Do you see the students coming in just wanting lessons and then leaving as fully formed bands with their own original music and identity?
Absolutely. Actually, I follow a lot of the bands that have come out of the school. A lot of my former students are still working in music and gigging and finding all kinds of work.
That's actually going to be one of my next questions. Have you had any student bands go on to play local shows, release music, or have they just become part of their local underground scene? But I'm guessing yes. So tell us more about that.
100%. I mean, we have all different kinds of musicians. We have folks that are just interested in taking lessons for their own enjoyment, their own enrichment. But I've often seen these kids make all kinds of connections and friendships and communities, and they continue on with their bands for years and years. And we actually, in Baltimore, we just had a band, Turnstile, that won a couple of Grammys recently, and they were all, I believe, former School of Rock Baltimore students.
So okay, then. So this show, the Cookie Rae Rock Show, it lives and breathes original underground music. How important is it for young musicians to start writing their own material early, rather than only learning to play covers?
Oh, I think it's very important. I mean, I think covers are a really good foundation to start with, and it all depends on your interests and your skill sets. I've never been a person who's all that great at songwriting, so I kind of wish that there were more programs when I was younger and more schools that would have encouraged that. I always kind of worked with covers, so I think it's really good to develop those skill sets as early as you can.
Nice. Does a school actively push that DIY mindset of don't wait to be invited, build your own stage when it comes to gigs and releases?
100%, I would say so, especially at Lutherville. I've been at a couple different schools now. I started with School of Rock, which a lot of people have heard of because of the Jack Black movie. And I also worked for something called Playtime Arts Academy. One thing that I found at Lutherville is they really take initiative. There's all kinds of different open mic nights where the students can show off their own written work, their own original work. We have different showcases, we have different workshops that they're always learning special skills, and it's a really unique environment.
Tell us a little bit more about your performing aspects then, because I know that you've come originally from a theatre perspective. You've developed a very healthy relationship for Nine Inch Nails. Like myself, you grew up formerly within the horror industry as well as a scare actor, and you also do a Baltimore ghost tour as well. Tell us how all of that encompasses your personality and what you do at Lutherville Rock School as just as an influence for the students.
Oh, that's a really good question. And I was just thinking about it the other day. It's officially 10 years since I've been teaching vocal lessons. I started back in 2016, and because I come from theater and because my background and my degrees are in theater, I still sometimes feel a little bit like a fish out of water. It's really interesting. I still sometimes get that little bit of imposter syndrome even after a decade, but I do feel like I bring a lot of real world and lived experience in terms of all different aspects of performing. And one thing I really like to emphasize with my vocal students is not just technique, not just breathing and posture and scale and all the things that go into singing physically, but stage presence. And how do I tell a story? How do I show my emotions authentically when I'm singing a rock song the same way that I would if I'm doing musical theater? Because a lot of those things overlap. A lot of them take the same training and technique and the same vulnerability on stage. So I think that all of my weird experiences with telling ghost stories one day and pretending to be a patient for medical students the next day. I think all of it kind of comes together in performance. How do you bring yourself to a performance?
So with that preparation then, so you've spoken a lot about their presence on stage, you spoke about the storytelling when it comes to the lyrics. What do you do to prepare students for the reality of small venues? So sticky floors, loud amps, not just tiny rehearsal rooms.
That's a really good question, actually. A lot of our students, both at School of Rock and at Lutherville, get to play real gigs in real venues. So we have a venue here in Baltimore, the Auto Bar, and Auto Bar has seen everybody from Guar to Iggy Pop and everybody in between. And then those students get to perform on those stages and get to have those experiences. But I will warn them about the conditions of the bathrooms, though, that they're not they're not always the friendliest. But yeah, I do like to tell them a little bit about, what it's going to be like out there in the real world. Sometimes you'll see a stage that's just a carpet on a bare floor, but a gig's a gig.
I guess part of that as well is kind of like looking at the history of the venue itself. I'm sure there's like a lot of stories you can tell within that. I mean, like Ram's Head Live, the first time I went to go there was who was I seeing? It was Mudvayne with support from Snot at the time. And you could just feel the history that was all inside that venue. It's like, do you get the chance to go along and explain the history and the backstory of the venues that they're playing at as well?
Definitely, actually. Sometimes we've had shows at gigs like Power Plant Live that also has a really interesting history in Baltimore of being like a one of the oldest open air markets dating back to like the 1700s, and you can see it in the buildings, which is a really cool experience. We've also got Merriweather Post Pavilion, which is a beautiful outdoor concert venue. They do a lot of summer festivals and things, and Jackson Brown recorded entire albums there. There are bands that have named their albums after Merriweather Post Pavilion. So a lot of really cool, famous, historic places that they get to experience and be real musicians, not just feel like a real musician, but play on those same stages that their idols have.
I imagine a lot of new artists probably worry about sounding a lot like their heroes. How do you help them find a sound that's uniquely theirs, not just a copy of what's already out there?
Ooh, oh, I love that. That's one of my favorite challenges in teaching. And I was just talking with one of my students just this past Saturday about how she really loves musical theater. She really wants to sound just like Cynthia Erivo. And I was like, that's a wonderful goal to have, but you are you. You have your own unique instrument. And I think that all artists of all ages, we constantly compare ourselves. We compare ourselves to the people that inspire us, and it makes us want to be better, but we have to embrace our own uniqueness. The flaws and the cracks and the pops in my voice, they're what make me me. And if I sounded like a copy of somebody else, that wouldn't be anything new. I can listen to Cynthia Erivo whenever I'd like.
Nice. I was speaking with a few friends the other day, and it was really interesting. We going back to what you were saying earlier on with a few of the students clicking together. We was talking about the rock community in general, and it just hit me that word community. The the rock community itself is a community. I've yet to see that with any other genre of music. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you feel that community is forming around the school, almost like its own little scene where bands support one another?
Absolutely, definitely. And those are the times when I don't feel like a fish out of water. Those are the times when I know like I really belong here. I really belong with these teachers and with these kids, with these other fellow gig artists. They're piecing their schedules together the same weird ways that I do. I think that especially in alternative music and in rock and in hardcore music scenes, there's there's a level of community that I don't see in a lot of other places. There's a lot of care that's taken for people. If you fall down in that mosh pit, someone's going to pick you up and someone's going to help you, regardless of what show it is. I have seen Guar a number of times, and they are some of the nicest people that I have ever met in my life, both the band and the fans. They seem terrifying, but they're actually sweethearts. I think that people in rock really care. They're really passionate people, and that shows despite the scary exterior.
For a brand new band starting out from absolute zero, what is your one piece of advice for landing that first gig and getting people to actually turn up?
Ooh, Networking, networking. And I mean, that sounds like such a dirty word because I mean, it sounds like making connections in order to use people. But I mean, making connections with people. Just go to as many other shows as possible, meet as many other musicians as possible, meet people that own venues. Even though I work in theater a lot, I was just talking to a recording studio here in Baltimore about the possibility of recording some radio dramas there and then also performing them. So you never know who you're going to meet in the community and what kind of connections you can make with them. So just get the word out, meet people, shake hands, go to shows, go see shows.
Amazing. And finally, what excites you the most when you look at students coming through right now? Like, do you get that feeling of, oh, the next wave of really good music is on its way?
Oh, I love I love students that know who they are, that are confident in themselves, that are confident in their vision and in their artistry. I I think that a lot of my students come in and, I have students of all ages. I have very young students. I have adult students that are my own age or older. But when we're younger, it's very easy to let society dictate how we're going to act and who we're going to be and tamper ourselves down. But I think that the kids that stick to who they are and are unique and loud and weird and stand out, they excite me the most.
Nice, brilliant. What an ender. Massive thanks. Massive thanks to Sir Bron Beckett from Lutherville Rock School. So, guys, if you're into discovering where the next generation of underground bands are being born, this is one of those places to keep an eye on. From the first set of lyrics to the first gigs, it's all about building real artists and real scenes. So go check them out, support the local music education, and who knows, the next band you hear on this show might have just started right there. So stay loud, stay independent, keep it underground, and as always, if you ain't headbanging yet, what the hell are you even doing? Siobhan, thank you so much for joining me today.